What's up, people? We got another unboxing video right here going on. I'm about to start doing some product reviews about every day. This time, we don't have a whole bunch of stuff. It's just a few things. So this should go by pretty quick. First thing, we're going to go through the Savage Gear stuff. These are Savage Gear 3D bluegills. These are actually really, really good. They're about the perfect size. Like if you were going to use like a live bluegill to actually catch bass under a bobber or something, this is like the spot on size to be using. So they actually come in just the right size. I believe they're 4 inches or just under 4 inches, one or the other. I got the Ghost bluegill and the standard bluegill. These are really, really good colors as far as I can tell. I've never actually used these before, so I'm kind of excited to use them. There's still some bluegills that are on bed out on all the reservoirs and lakes that I've been fishing at. There are probably some pond fish too where you can throw these at, and this would actually be a very, very good pond lure. I think this is a good alternative to something like a chatterbait or a spinnerbait that you see all the time, because it's a lot more subtle, you know, and it's a lot more realistic looking too. It comes with some great patterns on it. It's actually a textured bait. You can actually feel the scales on there. It's a 3D scan of a real bluegill. It's super, super realistic. I hear that the swimming action on it is incredible too, actually. Very, very good swimming action. I hear that you just have to work it at a medium with fast speed, so that's the one drawback of it. But no, something like this that's got joints in it, I normally fish pretty fast anyway, so that's not a big deal. Next, we've got the OSP. The Live SS Gill and a 3.6. They only come in a 3.6 size, I believe. I'm not sure if you can get bigger ones in Japan. This is a JDM bait. I got this in sort of a green pumpkin red top with an orange belly, again following that bluegill pattern. This is going to be used on the Free Rig. This is a sort of a fairly new Japanese rig. Not a lot of people are using it. You know, fish aren't really seeing it like that. So I'm going to try it out with this. If you look at the underwater footage of this, other places on YouTube, you'll actually see what this looks like underwater. And the action on the drop is incredible. It actually spirals and flaps on the way down like a dying bluegill. So that's really cool about that. I know that's something that they're not really seeing. We got some rhythm waves here. These have been the last couple of unboxings. These things are just superior swim jig trailers. They have such great action without them being overpowered, and they're actually pretty durable too. They last like 3-4 fish before you have to take it off and put on another one. So I really like using those. Now what I got to go with this is the Grass Ripper again. You've seen this in the last couple of unboxings too. I've just been catching too many fish on it, man. This is the best swim jig that I've ever used personally. This is something that I'm going to probably do a product review on here pretty soon. I'm going to do a short one and a long one. I think I might start doing that for all the product reviews that I go over. I might do like a 60-second clip. You know, those do pretty well. And a longer, more extended one where I talk about some of the details of the bait. I'm also going to be doing some general jig fishing content and stuff like that too, because I get a lot of questions about fishing bass jigs, especially with all the guys seeing my Instagram and stuff like that. Me catching a bunch of fish on jigs lately, so that's going to be something that's pretty good for you guys to look at. But this swim jig in particular, money. I won't even really hardly throw anything else these days. Probably not anymore. Now I've got a bunch of Tokyo rigs. There's actually 4 in there. The Tokyo rig I've been doing really well with, also flipping, pitching, doing some light punching, shaking it on the bottom like sort of a shaky head with a creature bait. They've been doing really well. I got 5/0, 3/0, 4/0, and also a 5/0 round bend worm hook design. I decided to opt for this one as well because baits that are a little bit skinnier, like say a 10-inch Zoom Old Monster worm or something like that, that I might want to put on something like this, you know, this hook design fits it better. The extra wide gap does a little bit better with creature baits and beaver baits, like you can kind of see there, for flipping and pitching and things like that. But just generally bouncing a Tokyo rig along the bottom and just kind of dragging it, I kind of prefer that round bend worm hook design for certain types of soft plastics. Like if I was going to use a lizard or a worm, a ribbon tail worm, or a speed worm or something like that, you know, that's what I got that design for. Next is the Picasso Rusty Squeaker. This bait is just been an incredible buzz bait for me. It's blown me away, actually. I have another one that I'm going to show you, I think, here in a second. The original one that I bought about 2 years ago. About 2 years back, I bought my first one, and it started catching fish on day one. It's been stupidly successful for me. It comes with the rivet on the back pre-rusted. That's an old school buzz bait trick. If you take the pop rivet off the back and you set it in some bleach overnight, it'll make it rusty. You put it back on the bait and it just makes it really, really squeaky. So this one comes like that already. Plus, what's also nice about it is you can see how close that blade is to the head. When you push the blade down towards the head, it makes a loud clacking sound. But when you push it up away from the head, it just squeaks. So it's really good to have both a clacking and non-clacking buzzbait in one. So you don't have to own multiple different types of lures. And you can actually keep this thing up on plane and reel it still pretty slow. It has a lot of time in the strike zone. I actually really, really, really do like this buzzbait. I've been really impressed with it. I'm going to do a lure review on this one also. Next is the Rapala BX Big Brat. This is going to be a very, very good square bill. Summertime right now and also all throughout the fall and spring. This is going to be a really, really good bait. I got the Big Brat because it's got that larger overall body profile. If you look at the original Brat, or if you get a chance to see the original BX Brat, you'll notice that it's maybe the Big Brat's got to be at least a good 25% bigger, and gets a little bit deeper. I believe it's like a foot or two deeper diving depth. It has a balsa wood body, but it's got the outside coating of like a hard plastic lure. Rapala's been doing that a lot over the past couple of years, ever since they came up with the X-Rap jerkbait or rip bait. They've been encasing the colors inside behind a hard plastic shell. This, I don't believe, does that. These BX baits, I think they are still painted, most of them, but they still hold up really, really well, and they still have that true kind of balsa wood action. And that's really nice to have because it's really, really hard to replicate the action of balsa wood and still get the durability of plastic. So that's what this is for. And it's going to be a really, really good bait around, like, say, grass edges, blowdowns, stump fields, riverbanks, all kind of stuff like that, where the water be clear or dirty or muddy or whatever. This is going to be a really, really good option. It won't get much use from me in the wintertime, just because of the way that I fish, but the rest of the year, it's pretty much open season on this. This would be a pretty good bluegill imitation profile as well, for that fat, round body, you know. More Yo-Zuri T7 fluorocarbon. This stuff I've been crazy impressed with. 16-pound test for general purpose bass fishing, but also for some light flipping. My normal flipping line has been P-Line Tactical in 17-pound test line. I decided to go with 16 here because the diameter is a little bit thinner. I believe that 17-pound P-Line Tactical is like 0.15, and this 16 is 0.13. I can get more of it on the spool, and I think that the abrasion resistance and the castability of it has got to be pretty comparable. This is really just kind of an experiment for light flipping, but if it doesn't work out for that, it's going to be a pretty good general purpose line to throw things like chatterbaits, spinner baits, things like that on, with a general purpose kind of a setup. Lighter jigs, Texas rigs, all that kind of stuff like that. Normally I would want to go between like 14 and 16-pound tests for that kind of stuff, and very much heavier I'm going to be picking up different techniques like flipping, punching, throwing a big jig like a 3/4 inch jig, stuff like that. But this line in particular is really good, just general purpose type of fluorocarbon. This line performs really, really well too. It doesn't have a whole lot of memory, lays down well on the spool, makes really long, accurate casts. It doesn't blow up on the spool. It's been really, really, really good for $15. So without trying to get super, super crazy performance out of it, it does pretty well. I just can't say that it's comparable to something like Seaguar Tatsu or something like the P-Line Tactical I've been using that costs 2, 3, 4 times as much money. So this is going to be kind of experimental for me, but I'm kind of happy to use it. I did buy some Sunline FC Sniper 20-pound to flip with. I didn't like it, so we're going to see how this does. Next, I've got a bunch of Missile D-bombs in different colors. They were on sale for pretty cheap, like $3 a pack. Bayou Flash, that's going to be really good for muddy water. We've got Melon Cinnamon Purple. That's going to be cool for a little bit cleaner water. It looks a little bit more like crawfish also, so I'd be more comfortable using this as like a jig trailer as well. We've got Bruised Plum, again, dirty water. They didn't have regular plum, so this is about as close as I could get. That's why I picked these up. The D-bomb is a legendary bait for flipping, pitching, punching, all kinds of stuff like that. Jig trailers. So, you know, you got to have a bait like this, a beaver style bait like this to have in the summertime when they're pretty much the most effective. That's when they get the bulk of their use, fishing through heavy grass and heavy cover in the summertime. Next, we've got some missile destroyers in green pumpkin flash. These I've been doing very, very well with. The fish have just been straight eating them up, man. So I decided to get these in green pumpkin flash because the green pumpkin flash color I've been doing really well with. I don't know why, but the bass on this one particular reservoir that I have in mind, every time I go there, they eat, but they only want green pumpkin. I don't know what's up with that. The water is kind of standard and a little bit dirty back there, but for whatever reason, they only want green pumpkin. Like I can throw a black and blue, or I can throw June bug or whatever, and it'll be very, very few bites. You put on a green pumpkin, it's every other cast. I don't get it, but this particular design lends itself very well for a bunch of different techniques. Flipping, pitching, punching like the original one, but also Carolina rigs, also a big shaky head, also being used as an oversized jig trailer, all kind of stuff like that. This thing does really, really, really well all throughout the summer months and maybe even the early fall. We'll see how it does later on. But the missile destroyer is a really, really great bait. They are a little bit soft, but hey. I've got some tungsten sinkers here. These are going to be used on my Tokyo rig, and they're also going to be used on a flipping rig. I'm going to take a peg, a bobber stop, put it on my line, and then put a straight shank flipping hook, probably a size 6/0 with that missile destroyer. Put this on there and flip it around. Now, I'm not going to be punching with a 1/2 ounce weight. I'm going to be flipping with it. If I was going to be punching, I would need like 1.5 ounces of weight. But around here, luckily where I live, we don't have super heavy cover like that. We have some pretty sparse cover. So I don't have the need to be using a giant tungsten sinker. This is plenty to be used around, you know, your average couple of lay down trees or little sparse grass patches and stuff like that. So this is enough for me. Next, I've got some Owner twist lock hooks. If you guys seen the pond video, this is what I was using. I got a size 4/0 and a size 5/0. I decided to go a step bigger with the 5/0 this time, so I can use slightly bigger baits, weightless. This is pretty much the only presentation I'm going to use with these. I could use them for a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'm going to stay using these for weightless soft plastics on Texas rigs, weightless Texas rigs. These perform super, super crazy well. If you look at that centering pin at the front, that does so much to help you get your bait on there straight. And, you know, it holds the plastic really well. When I use a standard Texas rig and I catch fish on it, it tears it up. You know, the standard extra wide gap hook tears up the baits pretty bad. But these, it stays intact for like 4, 5, 6, 7 fish. So these are super, super good to have, man. I'm really glad that I started using these. I probably won't even go back for weightless Texas rigs. This is going to be the hook that I use from now on. Next, I got some 6-cents swivels. These are not nothing special. You know, these are just kind of replacement swivels just in case I needed them. Say, like, you need to replace the swivel on a spinnerbait, or I'm going to Carolina rig or something like that. That's what these are for. You know, normally I prefer a Spro power swivel for any heavy-duty type stuff. But something like these that were cheap, that I got for like $2 or whatever, you know, these are just kind of throwaway swivels for just general rigging. Because I'm going to break them off anyway, so, you know, not that good. These are free rig weights. Now the free rig, like I was talking about earlier, that I'm going to use with the OSP baits, you get special sinkers. They look like drop shot sinkers, and they can be used as drop shot sinkers, but you'll see that the eye is not pinched like you get on a standard drop shot sinker, because it's supposed to slide up and down your line. These come with a rattle in them also. There's a little glass worm rattle in there. The sinker's actually molded around the rattle. So that's what I think I got these for, because they have a special sound, you know. I like my baits to stand out amongst the other stuff that everybody else is using. So even if I do use these on a drop shot, taking it a step further by adding some sound. I was shaking that thing on the bottom, and they hear click, click, click on the bottom, and it sounds very akin to sort of a crawfish type sound. The only thing that I do wish is that they would make these in a tungsten version. If they made these in tungsten, I'd buy 1,000,000 of them. I'd be using them over rock piles and stuff like that. The sound that tungsten makes when it makes contact with rock is already distinct enough. That's why I like to use tungsten football jigs. But That sound, on top of it having a glass rattle on the inside, just takes it a step further. I'm glad that I'm going to be able to bring sound to my drop shot and bring sound to the free rig also. Some people know about the free rig, not really a lot of people in America are using it, but being able to use it myself and have it stand out just a little bit further by adding some sound to it, I think that's going to be something that is advantageous for me, especially since I fish mostly stained water. This is going to make it a little bit better. Last thing is some faceted glass beads. Now these are pretty straightforward, you know, they're just beads for rigging. These are pretty cheap also. They're like what, $1.69, $2, something like that. These I'm going to use for mostly Carolina rigs, but you can use them for the old school Texas rig, the brass and glass. And you can also use these for modifying certain types of lures and things like that. I prefer the 8mm size. 6mm is a little bit too small for my personal taste. And plus, I think that these little bit bigger ones are a little harder to chip. That's the problem with glass beads, is that they chip and break on impact, and they can damage your line. So 8mm holds up a little bit better. Otherwise, that's pretty much everything that's going to be in this order. There's another order that's coming in actually tomorrow. This one's late. I had actually done this weekly Tackle Warehouse order early, last week actually. Like I was saying, there's an order that comes every week. This one got delayed, but it's all right. No harm, no foul. I'm going to be using all of this stuff actually this coming week, and a lot of it is going to be used on video, and I'll come and explain some different features that I like about them, don't like about them, things like that. Some product reviews coming up and some other stuff coming down the line. So, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.